Hi, this is Patrick, and I wanted to give another story about the UFO series. I had family members back in the 90s that went out to Arizona to go visit more family that we had out there. And they were driving on the freeway, and it's a long drive out there going out to Arizona from the Bay Area to Arizona, and they were on the road. And these are family members that are real close to me, and one of them is really close, but um, she didn't want me to say who she was. She wanted to be anonymous, but someone who's close to me in the family. Um, she said that they were cruising out to Arizona in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, a ship came down over them, and she said she looked up, and like a spider web net dropped down from this ship, and it dropped over their vehicle. Um, and then that was the last thing she remembered. Um, After that, she was down the road driving in the car, and there was kind of like some missing time there. But um, they had been driving and had saw a ship, and it had dropped like a net over them, like a spider web net. And I just got off the phone and asked her. I wanted to get the story straight, but she was kind of like standoffish a little bit about letting the story out. But she told me, and she wanted to talk about it a little bit. So I kind of got the information from her, but it was a family story. So we were just like, okay. But I thought it would be a cool story to share. Um, Also, I had some friends that live up here in Northern California, and they live up this road about 10 miles up in the middle of nowhere. And the kids had an experience. They're kids, and they live up in this valley there, right off, and you can see across the range for miles. And a UFO came down and lit up the whole valley, as bright as day. And it was, the kids were young kids at the time, but I was friends with one of the kids, and he had told me he was traumatized from the light that came down. It came down, and it was so bright, and it lit up the valley. It was so intense that um, they were scared. Um, it was something that really traumatized them as kids. Um, um, he had shared that story with me, and I never really forgot it. So I thought I would share it today. This UFO came down and lit up the whole area as bright as day. Um, but I thought it was a pretty cool story. Um, but I know another lady that lives up there that lives about 5 miles past them, and she's really far out there, 15 miles out the road, and she's a good friend of mine. But she told me she was out in the middle of the night, and um, UFO came down, and it was so bright that it like lit up the whole area, and she was freaked out. She said, you really don't realize until it happens to you. She said, after that happened, I was hesitant to go out late night out in the middle of nowhere, because this is out in the middle of nowhere. There's no one for miles in every direction. But she told me, she's like, the UFO came down, and it was really traumatic. She said, you don't really realize until you experience it. And she said it was traumatic for her, she said, and it was really a strong experience because this thing came down and lit up the whole valley. She says, if you really don't know about this kind of stuff and have never experienced it, then you really don't understand. And she's like, after that happened to me, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on. And she was a good friend of mine, and she was just like, this was really a strong experience. So I thought I would share that with people. Um, she was a good family friend, and we're still friends. But she shared that story with me, and I thought I would let it out right now. There's been a lot of experience out in these hills around here, uh, UFO experiences, and we were also watching these orbs um, where I lived at my father's house. We would watch them come up and down on the hill. These orbs, these light orbs, would come down, up and down, and they would be cruising around in the middle of the night, and they would come down all across the valley and be flying up and down, and we would watch them, and um, then they would just take off quick, boom, out of there, and they were really trippy. They were not planes, weren't helicopters, and they moved too sporadic to be any of that. I had seen a lot of them throughout my years up here. When I used to stay out at Panther Gap, I would see the orbs too, and um, I would spend a lot of evenings just watching the orbs in the sky flying around. And uh, I look back on it and I was like, you know, those were UFOs, definitely. And we experienced a lot of unidentified flying objects in that area. When you get deep into the hills out here, that's where people have a lot of experiences. And I thought I would share it with people because, I mean, I thought it would be pretty cool to tell the stories and let people know what's going on. But I hope you guys like the stories, and please give me a like. Please follow me. God bless.